Let me take care of this.
You are not in control anymore.
Miles, first of all, I love Trust. It was a fantastic film, man. And you know what? Sophie being trapped in one room almost reminded me of like a play in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
It was really fascinating to watch. But Trust marks your debut feature. What was it about the script that made you feel like it was the perfect fit for your first film with Koules Productions?
I think it's a combination of things. I think, you know what, for my first film, I wanted to make sure I told a story with a deeper meaning, I guess, and some stuff and some layers to it that's not just your stereotypical horror slasher, whatever that may be. I'm sure I have a few of those down the road, but I wanted to make sure I kind of opened the gates with something that had some layers to it, that told a story, that definitely gave a positive message to younger girls or if guys out there watching it, but definitely, you know, through being able to work with Sophie and also Carlson Young, they were both child actresses who, you know, I've seen different sides of what the industry might give you. And I think just combining with that team really helped tell a powerful message.
Absolutely. Look, between Sophie, Carlson, and Gigi, this film's creative team is almost entirely female. Was that a deliberate choice from the start? And how did it shape the tone and authenticity of the story?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously me and working with my dad, we talked about this a lot. And we said, you know, we need to get an actress who can kind of relate to the story in a way. I'm not saying Sophie ever went through anything traumatizing like this, but she was a child actress and she was also going through some stuff in her own personal life at the time that I think helped get some emotions out on the screen for us. And we just kind of talked about it, and we didn't want a guy to be filming a girl, A, in a vulnerable position where she's stuck in a room, and B, also in these kind of uncomfortable conversations that happen. And so we met with some people, and Carlson, we like immediately bonded and kind of fell in love with the fact that she not only had the right vision for the script, which is most important, but also she felt like she could relate to some of these things as well. And we just felt that that combination from her perspective would be able to, you know, work with Sophie in the best way possible. And it ended up showing.
You know, speaking of Sophie, she plays the Hollywood actress fighting for survival after betrayal. What made her the right person to anchor this story?
I think I touched on it a little bit just with the previous answer, but I think A, just being an outstanding actress never hurts, right? When you get someone of her caliber, we were thrilled from the get-go. But also I think it's just like I said, I think she, you know, she was a child actress. She was going through a divorce at the time. I felt like she probably had some, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I felt like she had some pent-up emotions that helped her kind of bolster her performance and just get some of the emotions out on the screen. And she really it couldn't have been a better fit because A, she's a tremendous actress, B, she's even a better person. And I think having her as number one on the call sheet and being such a cool person to A, hang out with, and B, work with, just helped everyone else down the line follow suit behind her and just made it an incredible experience to make this movie.
Now, Carlson Young brings this directorial vision and an actor's perspective to the project. How did that dual experience influence her approach to Trust?
You know, Carlson's a bit quirky in the right way. And I think what she did was she added some tones to the script that I didn't originally see. She created some, and you just saw it, so you know, she created some humor. Certain characters like Katie Seagal's character and Reese Cordero's characters really added some levity to the script.
Yes.
And we didn't originally, I think originally we kind of saw it as a little bit more serious, but I think having those funnier, lighter tones in the outside world while what Sophie's dealing with on that inside world for us as the audience is so serious, that combination is something that Carlson really added. And I think it just made the movie 10 times better.
Yeah, I think that levity really helped things a lot as well. And I think Katie is so great in her role. She's so fantastic. Now, Gigi's script is suspenseful, yet it's deeply personal. What was your process working with her to kind of refine the story for the screen?
So I worked with Gigi for a lot. And then we also brought in, so Carlson made a movie called Upgraded. And she used two guys named Justin Matthews and Luke Roberts to do some buffing for her on that script as well. So Carlson asked if they could do a little bit of a pass for us. They didn't change too much structure of the script, but they definitely added some humor. They added a few little details about Sophie's character's backstory. And it just enhanced everything that Gigi had already laid the foundation for.
Now, much of Trust is kind of set in this remote cabin. And it's only really like 2 rooms we really focus on when we're in the cabin. What was the biggest challenge and advantages in filming in such isolated locations?
Yeah, it's funny. We scouted a bunch of locations, around the outskirts of Mexico City to make sure it looked kind of like that Big Sur, Montecito kind of vibe that we were going for. And the funny thing is the cabin that we ended up using is the one that we all fell in love with. But originally, we just had one story. That was what the story was originally meant to be. But this cabin had that beautiful attic where I don't want to give too much away, but where some serious parts of the movie end up happening towards the end. So we just refined the script instead of going into a separate room, we love the room. So we have that, the living room, and then we have her bedroom and all that. But we have that attic that at first we thought it might be challenging, but it ended up making the story better, going up those stairs, finding a place to hide. And yeah.
Now, as a producer, how do you help kind of create an environment for Sophie to feel that she could fully dive in to the emotional side of this and physical side of the demands of the role? How do you provide or kind of like flesh out that environment on set?
By absolutely letting her do her thing, because she's so seasoned and she's so talented. And by any times other than when she's behind the camera or in front of the camera, just making things as fun and as light as possible to make the overall experience great. And we really became a really tight-knit group down there in Mexico City. And it almost felt like we had a really fun time down there and got to make a great movie by the end of it. We just made sure everyone felt at home and we had a great time together.
Absolutely. Now, you went from 9 years of professional hockey career to producing feature films. What lessons did you learn from the rink that you brought into the filmmaking side of things?
Yeah, it's funny because I talk to my dad about this all the time, and my mom. Both my parents, I grew up, with both my parents being very influential in the film industry. And I always knew I wanted to do that. And I didn't know, you're not like a 20-year-old pro hockey player thinking about the next thing. You're just living day by day. But I learned a lot from them. And I guess the tools that I picked up from hockey was really, it's just, you can go one of 2 ways after ending an athletic career like that. You can either kind of sit back or you can kind of keep it going. And I just feel like I had the personality where if I kind of sat back, I would go stir crazy a little bit.
Sure.
So I just tried to kind of implement those same tools of working hard, being the first person there, the cliche stuff, but it's true. And just being the first guy there, last guy to leave, that whole thing. And it's helped me create, I guess, more of a routine in a world that doesn't have as much of a routine, where I'm waking up, I'm doing the things I need to. Whether it's working on the next movies that I'm doing now or reading scripts for even after that or doing stuff for Trust, it's just constantly trying to take a step forward in everything every single day. And it's helped me a lot to have learned those tools without even having to learn them. It was just part of my everyday life.
Yeah, it seems like it kind of created that work ethic that you're just so used to at this point now. Now, working alongside your father, Oren, who has such a distinct producing legacy, what's the biggest piece of advice or wisdom that he was able to share with you along your journey?
It's funny, it's hard to pinpoint one, but if I could think of something right now, is he's really great at deferring to people that are better than him at certain things while not trying to be a know-it-all.
Sure.
Which is great because I learned from him about if there's a question about things that even though he might know it, there's people that we are hiring to work on the movie that know more. So he's great at kind of being a leader while also deferring to the right people for certain things and asking more questions than answering them. So I really learned a lot about being a positive influence and learning from the people around me and making sure that instead of being someone that is answering something that I might know, making sure that you let someone else take the forefront of it and answer it for you. And it's just everyone rises as a team that way.
I love that because that really shows a lot of humility, actually. Yeah. I feel like asking those questions and finding out those answers, you don't need to be the smartest guy in the room. That's why you bring everybody else in to learn from everybody. I love that. Now, You've talked about wanting Koules Productions to have this unique identity. What kind of stories do you want to champion the most moving forward?
Yeah, I think, it's whether it's a thriller like this, whether it's a extremely scary horror, or even if it's something in a different genre down the road, I think I'd like to be the kind of storyteller that is having a message behind what I'm doing. And obviously for this first one, there's a clear message there. But I just don't want to make something that people leave saying, yeah, that was cool. It was entertaining. I want something to be where that was cool, it was entertaining, and powerful as well.
Sure, like that water conversation that people have. Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to do things that have a message and leave some food for thought at the end.
Now, in an era where representation behind the camera is becoming more and more valued, what do you hope trust contributes to that conversation?
I just hope trust is received the way that we intended it to, and I hope people love it and people get to see all the hard work that we put in. And you know, going down the road, I'd love to keep building on everything that I've done. And I'm very, very extremely grateful that Trust got to be the first one, because I think it's exceeding expectations daily of what I thought I could accomplish in the first movie.
Oh, and there's some beautiful shots in there too. Yeah. I was blown away by the cinematography. Now, with Trust about to hit theaters, what's next for you? And is there a particular genre or type of story you're eager to tackle next?
Up next, we're going to go more horror for sure. I think the next movie we make is going to be horror, and then just keep blending those lines between horror and thriller, and not really categorizing as one or the other, but I think next we're going to lean farther towards horror and then meet somewhere in the middle after that.
Now, final question I have for you is, now that Trust is all shot and it's about to come out and the world's about to see it, what's a valuable lesson that you learned during the filmmaking process, or even now in the post process when you're doing promotion? What's something that you're going to take with you to your next project?
I think just having patience with the process. You like things to happen very quickly. And as I read the script first in 2020, they don't happen quickly. Obviously, you don't have 5 years to burn on the next one, but I think just having patience, knowing that if you're working hard and at least taking a little step every day, things are going to end up getting across the finish line.
Listen, if this is your first out of the gate, I can't wait to see what you have next. This was a fantastic film, man. Congratulations, and I can't wait for the world to see it.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Great talking to you.
I'll take care of everything. Guaranteed.